Hello and welcome. Tonight, it's a momentous day for the country as Dangote Refinery flags up production of petrol, rekindling hope of steady PMS supply. President of the group says refined products to hit the market in 48 hours. Big shocker for motorists as NNPCL stations adjust pump prices by about 55%. Long queues resurface in major cities in the country. And police, unrelenting in its fight against criminality, urges wanted Briton Andrew Wynne to come out of hiding and defend himself.
On business news, as Dangote Refinery commences rollout of PMS, financial experts say subsidizing fuel production in Nigeria could significantly boost the country's economic growth.
On sports, it's a done deal. Our Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen completes his medicals at Turkish club Galatasaray with all paperwork completed by both parties.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, President Bola Tinubu meets with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Both leaders agreed to build a high-level Nigeria-China community with a shared future.
And in international news from London, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says at least 41 people have been killed in a Russian missile attack on the Ukrainian city of Poltava.
The Dangote Refinery has rolled out its first set of premium motor spirit PMS from its 650,000 barrels per day facility. The $20 billion refinery, built by billionaire Aliko Dangote, began operations in January, initially producing naphtha and jet fuel. Briefing journalists this morning, the president of the Dangote Group says Nigeria will have engine-friendly gasoline for the first time. Bring more of that story later. Meanwhile, residents of the Federal Capital Territory are lamenting the hike in the price of premium motor spirits PMS by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. While the residents spoke to Channels Television following the long queues that trailed the hike in the pump price. Our correspondent, Kubi Abuluade, now reports.
Residents in the nation's capital woke up to a change in the price of premium motor spirit, PMS, also known as petrol, by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The new pump price is not sitting right with these residents as they express their grievances.
Before my tank, I normally fill it at 65,000, but now I bought it at the rate of 85,000 naira. The price is high. I have to tighten my belt to see how can I couple with this station, because it's not been easy, honestly. For me, I don't know how we are going to do.
For NNPC to be 897, you should be expecting other filling stations to hike their price to 1,000 plus. So the way it's going now, what are we going to do about it? Salary is not increased, even though I'm retired. If I follow what is going on now, what I get for my retirement benefit cannot even buy fuel inside the car.
On August 1st, 2024, the NNPCL hinted that it is in its $6.8 billion debt and would not be able to continue selling at a subsidized price of 617 naira. As a new pump price has been set in NNPC stations across the country, FCT residents are appealing to the federal government to take a deeper look into the situation to cushion the sufferings.
It will affect me. I have children that I feed. I pay their transport to go to school. School about to start next Monday. I normally spend like every week their transport like 7,000 naira. Definitely it will increase to 10,000 or 12,000 naira. And I'm not a taxi driver. Where will I afford that money? Each meal, a family of 5 or 6, each meal consume up to 7,000 naira as a small man. Now times it by 3. Can taxi man cover up to 15,000 naira in a day after fuel?
The NNPC Limited is hoping that the Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream sometime this month, alongside the production from other private refineries. Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
The Nigeria Labour Congress, the NLC, is urging the federal government to promptly reverse the recent hike in petrol pump prices, calling the move a betrayal of the agreement made regarding the 70,000 naira minimum wage for workers. In a statement titled, "We Feel Betrayed," NLC President Joe Ajero expressed that the unions agreed to the 70,000 naira minimum wage based on the understanding that there would be no increase in petrol prices. According to Ajero, President Bola Tinubu presented organized labor with two options: either a 250,000 naira minimum wage, which will result in a petrol price increase to between 1,500 and 2,000 naira, or a 70,000 naira minimum wage with no hike in petrol prices. The disappointed Labour leader is now demanding an immediate reversal of the latest price increase, noting that the union's leadership will convene in the coming days to decide on the appropriate course of action. Staying with energy issues, it's been bittersweet news for Nigerians celebrating the emergence of fuel from the Dangote Refinery as Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, increased the pump price of fuel today. Now, many fuel stations across the country paused selling of the product to adjust their pump prices as a result. Well, the NNPCL announced this afternoon prices would go up from between 568 to around 617 naira to 855 and 897 naira per litre. Moving on now to our next story, to security matters. Well, the Nigeria police is asking Mr. Andrew Wynne, a British national who was declared wanted for alleged subversive activities and terrorism, of financing to present himself and prove his innocence. Addressing a news conference in the nation's capital of Abuja, the Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Olumuyiwa Adejobi, says the Briton was invited several times by the police to answer questions on the allegations leveled against him, but he refused to honor the invitations. The police boss adds that having turned down several invitations, Mr. Wynne fled the country to evade arrest.
The arrest of an anonymous hacker and the escape of Mr. Andrew Wynne, a British national who was recently declared wanted, is the focus of this news conference by the Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Olumuyiwa Adejobi. Yes. Determined to establish their case against Mr. Wynne, the police are asking him to present himself to disprove the allegations against him.
He has been contacted severally. He has been so faceless. We have been able to get, ordinarily he's a very genuine person. We went to invade that bookshop. As he has questions, as he come out, if you have a genuine business, are you not going to ask police that what have you got to do in my shop, in my office? Up till now, he has not shown up. We have been able to trace his private school. We have visited his school at Ishono. We have interrogated staff, people working with him, as he shown up. So where is he and why is he hiding and speaking from hiding that he has no case to answer? Like I said, it is not a subject of debate or argument. We have done what we should as a responsible security institution. We have established an offense or offenses against him. And we have even declared him wanted. His accomplices have been charged to court. Let him come out.
The police equally provide more details on the arrest of an anonymous hacker who was identified as Isaac Bristow Tamino Bifiri.
Investigations also revealed that the suspect was responsible for leaking a sensitive restricted document generated from the office of the president to the secretary to the government of the federation.
At another event, the Inspector General of Police, represented by Deputy Inspector General, warned the supernumerary to remain disciplined.
Despite being an essential and desirable component of the force, the spy unit has faced difficulties in establishing a distinct identity. Attempts to create and enhance its identity have been significantly impeded by the lack of standardized and distinctive uniform, which has persisted as a major obstacle.
After the charge, the new uniform for supernumerary police officers is unveiled.
Police officers. As you can see, the outfit is beautiful and it makes them will make them very, very unique and easily identifiable. Thank you.
Although the supernumerary police officers have faced several challenges in the past, the police high command assures Nigerians that they have been repositioned for improved performance.
River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has donated 100 operational vehicles to the River State Police Command to enhance security across the state. The vehicles were officially commissioned and handed over during a ceremony at Shark Stadium in Port Harcourt. The ceremony was attended by prominent figures from both the police and the state government. During the event, the River State Commissioner of Police Olatunji Disu lauded Governor Fubara for the donation, saying that the vehicles will strengthen the command's community policing initiatives.
Your Excellency, sir, your unwavering support for the Nigerian police force and dedication to the welfare of our community is truly commendable. This act of generosity not only enhances our operational capacity, but also reflects your deep concern for the citizens of the state. These vehicles will empower our officers, enabling them to respond more swiftly and effectively to emergencies and enhance our community policing efforts. With your support, sir, we are reinforcing our resolve to combat crime and uphold the rule of law.
In his speech, Governor Fubara acknowledged the crucial role the police play in maintaining security in River State. He, however, urged the officers to remain professional and impartial amid the current political crisis going on in the state, reminding them of the negative consequences reportedly faced by their predecessors who took sides in previous political crises. Governor Fubara reaffirmed his commitment not to seek any undue favors from the Commissioner of Police, while promising to support the officers in fulfilling their duties effectively.
This achievement to the Commissioner of Police, honestly speaking, it wasn't my idea, because I was working on getting a very high profile vehicles for the police and other security agencies in the state. But the CP advised that he did it sometime in Lagos, that we should adopt that model by acquiring these other vehicles you're seeing here, the Sienna and the other Camrys, or Corolla, as they call them. And I bought into the idea. And why are we doing this? We discovered that response to crime scene, to attack, and to other lot of things were being slowed because you lack mobility. And what we just did was a first phase of support to the Nigerian police. We also intend to come again to give you other sophisticated vehicles to support what you're doing.
When we come back after the break, we'll definitely bring you our lead story on the Dangote Refinery rolling out its first set of premium motor spirit for Nigerians. But in part two, after the break, Bill Gates urges Nigerians to speak up and prioritize health issues to foster nation's growth, push advocacy for greater health financing to reduce malnutrition. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. It's a momentous day for the country as Dangote Refinery flags off production of petrol, rekindling hope of steady PMS supply. The president of the group, Aliko Dangote, says refined products to hit the market in 48 hours. Big shocker for motorists as NNPCL stations adjust pump prices by about 55%. Long queues resurface in major cities in the country. Police unrelenting in its fight against criminality urges wanted Briton Andrew Wynne to come out of hiding and defend himself. And Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky says 41 people have been killed in a Russian missile attack on the Ukrainian city of Poltava. Now back to our lead story, and the Dangote Refinery has rolled out its first set of premium motor spirit from its 650,000 barrels per day facility. Now, the $20 billion refinery, built by billionaire Aliko Dangote, began operations in January, initially producing naphtha and jet fuel. The president of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, says Nigeria will have engine-friendly gasoline for the first time.
A few years back, this complex, now housing the world's largest single-train refinery out of sub-Saharan Africa, was put through the rigors of construction, dredging, piling, and all the processes of fitting and instrumentation. Its sheer size, comparable to 7 times that of Victoria Island, made it all the more an apprehensive wait to have it come to fruition. And in less than a decade, the complex in many regards is up and running, producing in its wake the much coveted premium motor spirit petrol, as it also is a day of joy for the founder.
I would like to salute the people of Nigeria.
On his gratitude list, he points out 2 major positive shifts the President's Naira for Crude directive has brought to this fair.
I want to personally also thank Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for creating this idea of Naira for crude and also Naira for the product. Doing that, it will give a lot of stability for the Naira, you know, where now you remove 40% of the demand of dollars in the market, and that will actually stabilize the market. But that's not it. As you know, there's quite a lot of what you call round tripping, where people now do documentation and the fuel does not come into Nigeria, and this is a fact. So right now, as we have this refinery working, it will show the true consumption of Nigeria.
He then leads the team to the loading gantry area, where he speaks more about pricing, availability, and quality.
You can put it in your car and begin to run. And it will actually save your engine. It will give your engine the best performance. It will not be the normal one. Our gasoline can be, that is PMS, can be in filling stations in the next 48 hours, depending on NNPC. On PMS, like what I told you, is an arrangement which is designed and approved by Federal Executive Council, led by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. As soon as it is finalized, which he is pushing, you know, once we finish with NNPC, it can be today, it can be tomorrow, we are ready to roll into the market.
It's another hurdle crossed and a few more before the finish line, which Aliko Dangote says is surmountable, adding that domestic supply is inevitable for economic growth. Olo Phillips, Channels Television News.
American business magnate Bill Gates has highlighted the crucial need to prioritize nutrition and health financing as part of strategies to foster national growth. Mr. Gates made the advocacy of the 2024 NutriVision, a Pan-African dialogue to discuss innovative solutions to combating malnutrition in Africa, held in Abuja. The philanthropist also illuminates Nigeria's potential to significantly increase its agricultural output, which is a transformative opportunity for the country. Our correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
Ramping up the nation's nutritional index is at the heart of the 2024 NutriVision Pan-African Dialogue, organized by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Abuja.
find creative ways to finance them.
It's a hybrid gathering of participants, including popular social media influencers and food bloggers who bring to the fore nutritional deficiencies exacerbated by lack of education.
I want you to remember these last words, that your health starts from your plate. Thank you.
The co-founder of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mr. Bill Gates, rekindled the conversation around funding for nutrition and the urgency it requires.
By investing in nutrition, the impact of that is very dramatic. We're going to solve this by improving agricultural productivity. Malnutrition, part of it is having access to a variety of low-cost foods.
In a separate dialogue, the co-founder of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation outlines the prioritization of health and agriculture financing.
Health issues are not the only issues, but they're part of the issues that your voice is telling the politicians, hey, money is very scarce, but these are things that we care about and should be prioritized because they really enable the future for the country.
John, please join us on stage.
The introduction of American singer and songwriter John Baptiste re-energizes the conversation on the role of food, music, and humanity as a moral imperative.
Well, now, this is a session on nutrition, so I have to ask you about food. And you mentioned food already.
Yeah,
what's your
Flavor City.
So what's been your favorite dish so far? What are you going to
Jollof rice.
Jollof rice.
The session did not conclude without a special rendition by the American singer. The mission of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to improve health, education, and economic opportunities for children and families in Nigeria and Africa is clear for these participants of like minds who take a minute to share on social media an indication of their commitment to the 2024 Nutri Vision.
The School of Postgraduate Studies, University of Lagos, has held its annual lecture for the 2023-2024 academic session, which held at the JF Adejayi Auditorium of the institution. With the theme Innovative Synergies, Harnessing the Power of Collaboration Between Postgraduate Education and the Private Sector for Sustainable Economic Growth, speakers identified partnership between the academia and the private sector anchored on a trust as an important ingredient for Nigeria to experience the much-needed development.
Top management staff of the University of Lagos, as well as heavyweights from the private sector, gather at the JF Adejayi Auditorium for the annual lecture for the 2023-2024 academic session of the School of Postgraduate Studies. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Folashade Ogunshola, sets the tone for the lecture by identifying the role of the School of Postgraduate Studies.
We ask you to join us as we seek to achieve this dream. In closing, I again extend my deepest gratitude to our distinguished guests and partners, to our distinguished keynote speaker, Mr. Olani Yusuf, to Dr. John Momo for their presence and their inspiring leadership. I want to thank in particular the organizing committee for your dedication and for all that you went through to make today possible. I want to thank ahead of time all of you that have taken time to come here. I thank you for being here, and I'm looking forward to your continued support. Once again, welcome to the 2024 Annual School of Postgraduate Lecture. May this event ignite your passion for discovery and propel us all forward towards contributing our bit to developing our great nation and to attainment of the SPGS dream.
Chairman of the occasion and Chairman, Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, OON, speaks on what postgraduate education is all about.
Postgraduate education in Nigeria represents the zenith
of our academic pursuits. It is where we cultivate advanced knowledge, critical thinking, and the expertise needed to tackle the complex problems of our society. Yet, for this education to truly contribute to national development, it must, repeat, must, strong emphasis, it must be closely linked to the political realities and the needs of our economy. The private sector, as the engine of economic growth, innovation, and job creation, is a critical partner in its endeavor.
Education is the most powerful weapon.
On his part, the guest lecturer and chairman of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Mr. Olaniyi Yusuf, first points out the missing link between the academia and the private sector.
There's a level of mistrust between the private sector and the public sector, or between the private sector and the academia. And I think that mistrust is really what we need to find a way to overcome. There's a perennial funding constraint, and Nigeria is a nation where there's always funding constraint, so in any sector. And so education will not be unique.
Next, he identifies Nigeria as a country in need and prefers some solutions on how the partnership between town and gown can help in solving the country's problems.
The first is we need to create an ecosystem of different actors, of different operators, and we need to do it in a deliberate manner. So it's not opportunistic. It's something we need to be deliberate about and say, who are those that we need to make our education system, to make the collaboration between the private sector and the academia to be more beneficial. And let's deliberately seek them out and bring them to form that ecosystem. So we don't leave it to chances, but we go out deliberately to make it happen. So it's got to be intentional. I've got to focus on collaboration of different actors. And it will start by having a shared vision of what is possible and what we would like to achieve.
With the successful hosting of the 2024 annual lecture by the University of Lagos School of Postgraduate Studies, it is believed that solutions proffered by different speakers here will be implemented in order to put Nigeria on the path of sustainable growth.
Still ahead on the news at 10, as Dangote Refinery commences rollout of PMS, financial expert says subsidizing fuel production in Nigeria could boost the country's economic growth. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Welcome back. Let's now head to the nation's capital, where Gloria Omizoke is standing by for the very latest at our Abuja studios. Over to you, Gloria.
Many thanks, Ayo. President Bola Tinubu and the Chinese President Xi Jinping have announced the elevation of Chinese-Nigeria ties to that of a comprehensive strategic partnership. But this was the outcome of talks between the two leaders during President Tinubu's official visit to China. Our State House correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, reports that the leaders also agreed to build a high-level Nigeria-China community with a shared future.
Arriving for his official state visit at the Northern Hall of the Great Hall of the People, President Bola Tinubu is welcomed by his counterpart, President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China. He's accompanied by some ministers and state governors. President Tinubu inspects a guard of honor. Following the ceremony, the two presidents sit down with their delegations for bilateral discussions. President Jinping said China and Nigeria, as major developing countries, strengthening strategic coordination will inject fresh impetus to the China-Africa relations.
I thank you for the...
In his contribution, President Tinubu outlined Nigeria's readiness and commitment to economic development.
And I agree with you that China-Nigerian relations that is over half a century should further strengthen our trade and economic development program. Nigeria has a very great potential as largest population in Africa.
It is then time for the signing of 5 memoranda of understanding by officials of both countries as the two presidents observe the proceeding. For the Nigerian delegation, this event is highly beneficial.
Specific agreements were signed, memorandum of understanding. 5 are all development related. 4 of them were were signed on behalf of the Chinese government by the National Reform and Development, the National Development and Reform Commission of China, and I also signed on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
We expect more to be signed, albeit not in front of the 2 leaders. There are agreements on shelled peanuts, so groundnut that is still in the shell for export. Phytosanitary is supposed to be signing that. Already 2 state governors, Lagos and Kaduna, have signed agreements.
President Tinubu is billed to participate in the 2024 summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, commencing from Wednesday, September the 4th, 2024 in Beijing. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
The Plateau State's chapter of the All Progressives Congress is calling on the Speaker of the State House of Assembly to inaugurate lawmakers elected on the platform of the party. The senator representing Plateau South Senatorial District, Senator Simon Along, and the state's chairman of the party, Mr. Rufus Bature, made the call at a stakeholders meeting held at the party secretariat in Jos, the state capital. Both men are accusing the speaker of disrespecting court orders.
Stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress in Plateau State are meeting to discuss the political situation in the state. A major talking point at the meeting is the status of elected members of the State House of Assembly under the party.
We are frowning in particular at the flagrant disrespect of valid court decisions by the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, the only YPP member in the House who has refused to swear in the remaining 6 APC state lawmakers in spite of the Court of Appeal judgment, as he recently declared in one of the functions he held in the state of recent, that it is at his discretion to respect which judgment that comes from any court, that it is at his discretion. It's quite unfortunate.
The State Assembly had been in a state of uncertainty over the fate of some lawmakers under the People's Democratic Party after they were sacked by the Court of Appeal. The party relied on the decision of the court to call for a swearing in of the party's candidates.
I want to appeal to you today. If our members have qualified, please, in the next sitting, invite them to be inaugurated. We're not fighting the governor. We're not fighting anybody. That is the House of Assembly. If Speaker says he cannot inaugurate it, I wonder whether APP, one person, is equal to 22 members of the House of Assembly.
The stakeholders also discussed the non-representation of the state in the Federal Executive Council, calling on President Bola Tinubu to consider nominating someone from the state for a ministerial slot that has been vacant. The party also discussed preparations for the forthcoming local government elections in the states.
But that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo, for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Gloria. The Kaduna State government has signed a memorandum of understanding with Huawei Technologies office in Beijing, China, for the actualization of the Smart City project in the state. Governor Uba Sani signed the agreement on behalf of the Kaduna State government, while the Chief Executive Officer of Huawei Technologies, Chris Liu, signed on behalf of the company at the ceremony, which was witnessed by President Bola Tinubu, ministers and other senior government officials. According to a statement by Governor Sani, the Smart City project is geared towards enhancing security, efficiency and transparency in public service, competitiveness, city management, and attracting talents and investments. He adds that the ultimate goal of the project is the establishment of a safer and smarter Kaduna State. So let's get the very latest from the world of business with Will Ibong. Will.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Following the announcement that Dangote Refinery started producing premium motor spirits, PMS, reactions have been widespread. Financial expert Oji Udemezue views this development as a major milestone for Nigeria, despite ongoing challenges with crude oil availability for refiners. Mr. Udemezue, who was a guest on Business Incorporated earlier today, also argues that subsidizing fuel production in Nigeria could be a more effective strategy for driving economic growth.
But the good thing is that this refinery is now working. I know that in Nigeria's best interest, we had better found a way to supply regular crude to Dangote Refinery, because it's going to be to our advantage. It's FX inflow positive, it's employment positive, it's economic growth positive. This is like an uhuru for Africa, because it's easier now to deal with an African refiner to get this crude. Distance is closer, hopefully, for supply, and pricing, I'm sure, is going to be better. So the good news is that whether Dangote is buying from, WTI or Brent, or most importantly, Nigeria's own, crude or different, sulfur content and so on, is good news that he's able to produce this thing, create jobs for the country, increase tax payment. He's still a major, if not the highest taxpayer in this country. Much more tax is coming to Nigeria. So it's big news in any way you look at it. Inflation is going to reduce, because the inflation caused by this, continual importation of refined petroleum is likely to abate if we make crude oil available to Dangote refinery. Even if we have to subsidize, we are now subsidizing our own production. If you subsidize production, it's a lot more growth positive for a nation than subsidizing consumption, imported consumption for that matter.
Also, billionaire businessman Femi Otedola has praised Aliko Dangote for his significant contribution to Nigeria's economic independence through the successful launch of the Dangote Refinery. In a lengthy post shared on his X page on Tuesday, Mr. Otedola highlights Dangote's achievements and their impact on the country's energy sector. He believes that the refinery's success could diminish the relevance of local depots, which have long relied on fuel imports to meet domestic demand. He says, quote, "The depot owners should take heed. It's time to dismantle those depots and sell them as scraps while the market is still high. The world has changed and those who do not adapt will be left behind." End quote. According to Mr. Otedola, Dangote Refinery represents what can be achieved when one has the audacity to dream and the determination to make it a reality. Meanwhile, the Nigeria's Employers Consultative Association, NECA, has criticized the recent hike in the pump price of petrol by NNPC Limited, saying it unfairly burdens Nigerians with the company's inefficiency. NECA's Director General, Mr. Adewale Smart-Oyerinde, voiced his concerns in a statement on Tuesday following NNPCL's announcement that the new pump price of PMS would be 897 naira per litre, effective September the 3rd. Mr. Oyerinde expresses disappointment that instead of reducing petrol prices after the completion of the Dangote refinery, the government is imposing more hardships on Nigerians, further increasing the cost of doing business. Let's check out the domestic equities market now. It's sustained bullish sentiments for a second day. John Mekwa has the details.
Thank you so much, Will. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. The second trading day for this week and this month, and it's still a green market. But it's not because of the figures this time, because we see a huge volume of trade for Accessco, 103 million in volume, but mostly profit-taking. O&O is, however, still shining, still has the magic around it after traded 46 million in volume. Prestige brings the insurance counter to the light again for today. Look at the sectors, and then we'll see better how this works. Banking is down after that huge volume of trade. FBN Holdings also, UBA, Zenith Bank, they also lost, and so we see the counter in the red, 0.06%. Consumer goods is down. Dangote sugar again, following what happened yesterday, which was profit-taking. Nigerian breweries also followed suit, so we see consumer goods is down 0.30, but we don't know when this bull run on O&O will come to an end. They're driving that counter 0.59%. Standard Oil also got some attention today and saw some cherry picking on it. At the close of trade, 45 billion naira was added to the market cap, and the market closed in the green, 0.08%. We're yet to hit the 97,000, but we're getting close, and we'll stay hopeful on that. The market cap 55.6, same level, almost the same level that we had at the close of trade yesterday. And yes, it's still the bull that's victorious today.
And that's a wrap on business. It's back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Will. Ukrainian authorities say more than 50 people have been killed in a Russian missile attack on the city of Poltava in Ukraine. More than 200 people have also been injured. It's the deadliest single attack on a Ukrainian town or city this year. Here's Simon Pusey with other international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says 41 people have been killed in a Russian missile attack on the Ukrainian city of Poltava. He says that at least 180 have been injured and that missiles hit the territory of an educational institution and a nearby hospital. Video uploaded to social media shows a huge hole in a building with rubble and debris covering the ground nearby. Local reports say the attack happened just as people were evacuating to a bomb shelter. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has arrived in Mongolia on his first visit to an International Criminal Court member since it issued a warrant for his arrest last year. He was welcomed by Mongolia's leader at a lavish ceremony in the Asian nation's capital. The Russian leader is wanted by the court for the alleged illegal deportation of Ukrainian children. Ahead of his visit, Ukraine had urged Mongolia to arrest Mr. Putin. The court alleged last year that the Russian president was responsible for war crimes, focusing on the unlawful deportation of children from Ukraine to Russia. Moscow has previously denied the allegations and said the warrants were outrageous. The Ugandan athlete Rebecca Cheptegei is in a critical condition in a Kenyan hospital after allegedly being doused with petrol and set on fire by a former boyfriend. Police said the 33-year-old marathon runner who competed at the recent Paris Olympics had suffered burns to more than 75% of her body. She was attacked at her home in Western Kenya, where she had been training. There are concerns about the increasing cases of violence against female athletes in Kenya, some of which have resulted in death. An attempt by inmates to break out of a high-security prison in the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Kinshasa, has led to the deaths of 129 people. Interior Minister Shabani Laku said that 24 prisoners had died of bullet wounds. Most of the others died from suffocation as a result of a crush during the breakout at Makala prison. Despite reports of mass casualties emerging on Monday, the government had initially said that only 2 people had died. The UK has suspended some arms sales to Israel, saying there is a clear risk the equipment could be used to commit serious violations of international law. Foreign Secretary David Lammy said the UK would be suspending 30 out of 350 arms export licenses to Israel, affecting equipment such as parts for fighter jets, helicopters and drones. An Israeli minister said the decision sent the wrong message and was disappointing, but human rights group Amnesty International UK called the suspension too limited. Mr. Lammy said the UK continued to support Israel's right to defend itself, and this did not amount to an arms embargo.
There is no equivalence between Hamas terrorists and Israel's democratic government, or indeed Iran and their partners and proxies. But to license arms exports to Israel, we must assess their compliance with international humanitarian law, notwithstanding the abhorrence of their opponents' tactics and ideology.
Hong Kong's flagship airline Cathay Pacific has cancelled dozens of flights after a plane heading from the city to Zurich was forced to turn around due to an engine component failure. The company says it has now inspected all 48 of its Airbus A350s and found 15 aircraft with faulty parts that needed to be replaced. The plane's Trent XWB-97 engines were made by British engineering giant Rolls-Royce. Since Monday, Cathay Pacific has cancelled almost 70 flights. The airline said the disruptions will continue until at least Saturday. And Pope Francis has landed in the Indonesian capital of Jakarta, kicking off a historic trip to the Asia-Pacific region. Children in traditional dress presented the Pope with a bouquet of local produce as he touched down. He will also travel to Papua New Guinea, Timor-Leste and Singapore as part of a visit which is expected to focus on interreligious harmony. The 12-day trip will mark the longest time the pontiff has spent away from the Vatican, and it comes despite the fact that the 87-year-old has been battling health problems recently and using a wheelchair in recent months. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Well, many thanks, Simon. Let's now get the very latest from the world of sports with Kelly Egiga. Kelly?
Many thanks indeed, Ayotunde. Welcome to Sports News. Let's begin with some cheering news for Nigeria's Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen, because he is now officially a Galatasaray player after completing his medicals and sealing a loan deal with the Turkish club side earlier today. But the deal does not include a purchase option, and Galatasaray will cover his full salary during the loan period, and most importantly, a clause that could see him leave the club in the January transfer window. The player's arrival is expected to significantly strengthen Galatasaray's attacking options as they aim for domestic and international success, and the move marks a major step in the Nigeria's international career, offering him a new challenge in the Turkish Super League.
Feels good, feels good. The atmosphere is amazing. One of the best fans in the world. It's great to be here. I'm really excited. Of course, I can't wait to see them in the stadium. I can't wait to hear how they scream when I score. I'm ready to give my best for them. I'm really excited to be here. He's a great guy. He helped me a lot when I came there, and I also spoke with him before coming here. I'm really excited to meet him again, and of course to see the rest of my teammates.
And it's good to see him smile again. Nigeria's forward Victor Osimhen. Away from club football, only 3 players are still being expected at the camp of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. 20 players trained in Uyo earlier today, precisely this evening ahead of Saturday's 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match against the Cheetahs of Benin Republic. Forward Kelechi Iheanacho is due in camp on Wednesday, while goalkeeper Maduka Okoye and forward Victor Osimhen are also being expected in camp on Thursday. And after Saturday's encounter, the Super Eagles are scheduled to fly to Kigali on Sunday for Tuesday's match day 2 clash with the Amavubi of Rwanda. And the Executive Committee of the Nigeria Football Federation has approved the recommendations of its Technical and Development Subcommittee for the appointment of Coach Aliyu Zubairu as head coach of the Flying Eagles. The Air Kanami Warriors head coach led the Maiduguri-based team to gain promotion to the Nigeria Premier Football League and also won the President's Federation Cup for last season. Zubairu made his taxes to put together and prepare a team for the WAFU B Under-20 Championship scheduled for October and November in Togo. Thanks indeed for watching. I am Kelly Egi. Guys, back to Ayotunde.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And the main news again. The Dangote Refinery today flagged off the production of petrol, a situation that rekindled hope of steady PMS supply. The president of the group, Aliko Dangote, said refined products to hit the market in 48 hours. We also told you that NNPCL stations have adjusted their pump prices by about 55% as long queues resurfaced in major cities in the country. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said 41 people have been killed in a Russian missile attack on the Ukrainian city of Poltava. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night and please stay safe.